morning, everybody. Good to see you all here this lovely Sunday morning. We will not waste any time today. We will get right started. Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. While the door's unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find the place of rest in the arms of Spirit. God's waited so long for your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe the tears away, while the Father waits with open arms. And God is calling out your name. Come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Well, there's room enough in the house of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, yes, come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, yes, come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, yes, come on in.
Good morning, everybody. So good to see you here. I know some of you were dripping a little bit. We always say that if you would only come to Power Hour at 9:30, you never get wet, right? Power Hour crew? Yeah, they're dry. I'm Bev Spivey, happy to minister here with my wonderful husband, Reverend Lawrence Palmer. Greetings to everybody on this damp day. A shout out to our live streamers, Paul and others. I know you're watching on unitypompanobeach.org. When any of you travel or move around the country or just stay home, that's where you can find us. And we stay live all during the week until the next Sunday morning overrides the live stream there. There are also audio files of every one of the lessons that we have on the various themes, so you can always go on the audio link and download the podcast to listen to what the sermon has been. So greetings to everybody. Greetings to our wonderful musicians who are here, rain, snow, sleet, or hail. James McCoy, our music minister.
Good morning. Would you please welcome once again at the piano and the keyboard, Mr. John Rose. At the drum set, Mr. Orlando Machado. And you know Samantha Natalie Wallace, our featured soloist. And we have music today from the diva herself, Miss Patti LaBelle, and from Babby Mason. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so as we begin today, we remind ourselves of our theme for the year, Perfect Vision, looking at life through a spiritual lens, being able to hold our own reactions and judgments and perceptions long enough to realize there are other views out there as well. There are other sides to the story. There is a reality that is a little bit different for each and every one of us, and we strive to look through that spiritual lens to keep ourselves on track with Spirit. So our theme for the month has been possibility. Looking at all the many possibilities that are around us. This is also Black History Month, as we consider the possibilities that are still to open up for not only Black Americans, but all minorities in our white culture here. So possibilities for all. Let's together give the affirmation. Imagination swings wide the gate of possibility. And let's take those ideas into an opening prayer as we breathe together and blow it out and release. We release the things that are feeling like burdens, duties, responsibilities. We hold all that up into the light of day to see what is ours to do and how can we do it joyfully. How can we choose the course in life that we know is best for us and others? We also release all the excitement and the distractions of the upcoming day and days. We release anything that is going to keep us from being focused on this morning as we have this special time together in spiritual community with the energy of people here opening their hearts and minds. So as we open ourselves to inspiration today, in whatever form it comes, we are very grateful. And in this gratitude, we share ourselves in this hour. And so it is. Amen. Well, let's stand now and sing. Is it Karen Drucker?
It's not actually.
Somebody. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get the blood flowing. Clap your hands right here. That's where it is.
In the morning when I get out of bed, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. Before I even lift my head, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. This is how I start the day, knowing good is on the way. I am claiming perfect health, love and laughter, friends and wealth. In the morning when I get out of bed, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. Before I even lift my head, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. With conviction undeterred, power of the spoken word, take my life and redefine, break the shackles of my mind. In the morning when I get out of bed, I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. I claim a blessing. Before I even lift my head, I claim a blessing. 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 You know I claim it, yeah. I claim a blessing. Before I wake in the morning, I claim a blessing. I said I claim it. Oh, I claim a blessing. I claim it. I claim a blessing.
And it's a blessing to gather here together. So any of you who are here for the very first time, we would ask you to just please raise your hand so we can greet you with one of our welcome brochures. We enjoy having you with us today, and we invite you to read the brochure if you have any questions about Unity, the Unity Movement, or this Unity Center. Our contact information is in there, and we invite you to share your contact information so we can put you on our email list. Happenings has been going out every week. Our Director of Operations, Ron Smith, has been putting that out so you can keep track of what's going on. So welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
If you go to the website, it's unitypompanobeach.org. All of our events and activities are posted there as well. So afterwards, everyone is welcome to go to Fellowship Hall for a social time of gathering and getting to know somebody maybe that you haven't met before, catching up with friends you do know, and just enjoying that time here of continued fellowship. Also, prayer is very important here, and for a half hour before every Sunday morning service at 10:30, the prayer chapel, which is the first room on the right in that hallway next door. There will be a prayer chaplain there who will sit with you for some quiet time in sacred silence. That chaplain will pray with you if you would like that as well. So take advantage of that quiet time there in the chapel. Someone will also be there after the service, one of our prayer chaplains, to hold sacred space with you. If you have any prayer requests today, whether they are sharing concerns or joys, we invite you to fill out a blue prayer slip. There are some on the table in the lobby. There are some in the folders in the chair backs. You may put those prayer requests in the prayer chest that's in the lobby. It's brought here during our meditation time, and that reminds us to hold each other in prayer. You can put them in the offering plate or hand it to us as you exit or to the ushers. So we invite you to be involved in Unity's positive prayer. A chaplain will be available in the aisles. All of our chaplains that are in the service stand up afterwards to be able to have prayer with you. So we invite you to do that as well. Okay, let's see what else. Today, those of you interested in membership here, there is a required membership orientation. That's just so that we can be sure you understand how we are organized here. The joy and the happy communications that we have around here and the awareness and knowledge of our members are what makes any kind of establishment flow smoothly. But in our case, sometimes people don't understand how we're organized, and it's important that you do as we continue on through, we hope, many, many decades and eons of life here in Unity of Pompano in this spiritual center. So if you are interested at all in membership, we are going to excuse those of you going to orientation right after the prayer for protection through the double doors. Our licensed teacher, Cynthia Roberts, and our director, Ron Smith, will be there to show you. We have lunch for you so that you can have your food and eat it and be back here in the sanctuary at 12:30. We want to keep the time moving so you're out of here by 2:30 or so. So we invite you to be involved with learning about membership here. At the end of orientation is the opportunity to say yes or no whether or not you want to join. There's absolutely no pressure. We do this every 6 months. So consider membership if you feel a draw to that. We also have a big sale coming up on Saturday. Open to the public at 9 o'clock. Of course, we won't have police out there, and we all know the public starts way before 9 o'clock on yard sale days. But we invite all of you to look through your home, get rid of whatever you've been saving for 20 years, 10 years, 3 years. If you're like me, when are you ever going to do it? When are you ever going to use that origami set? For instance. So it's time to clear out, make room for more lovely things. While you clear out your things, come here. We have free tables. If you please sign up today, though, so we can have tables ready for you. We are going to use the front parking lot. There's some of you have big items. So please, all proceeds are going to benefit Unity of Pompano Beach. And it's a good shopping opportunity because I tell you what, some of our members have excellent taste and I know you will pick up some treasures. Along these lines are Bob Wilson and Peter Zaboskova, our wonderful members, have decided to do a matching fund. So any proceeds that we make on Saturday, they will match. So let's take advantage of that. Bob and Peter are also, they sold their home recently, and they have a lot of furniture and large items that they're putting out for the sale. And if any of you know them, you know their taste is extraordinary. So come out for the sale whether or not you have anything to share. We would also like some volunteers to help us with smooth operations during the day. So all of that information is on the lobby table, and Ron Smith will be back there with any questions. Our annual meeting then is coming up next Sunday. Those coming into membership will be able to participate in this meeting. It is open to anyone. However, only members can vote, and so the members will sit up in the front section. So that's Sunday at 1 o'clock in here. And we're going to have a potluck luncheon, as we usually do on our membership Sunday, just to celebrate who we are and our organization here that's now in our 10th year. So come on out with a wonderful dish to share for potluck, and drop that off before the service, and we will gather together, have a wonderful meal, and then come on in here for orientation, which we hope to get through with that in probably an hour to an hour and a half. It won't be a lengthy meeting, but we do want to share with you not only accomplishments, but ideas and plans for going forward this year. So come on out for that. And lastly, Lawrence is going to be teaching a class. It's 5 weeks, the 5 Tuesdays in March. And there will not be a book involved with this, but he is going to lead us on some really good work that enables us to search inside and see, what do we really believe? And does that match how we're living and interacting and speaking? What do we really desire? What do we really want? And is that also what's out picturing in our life? And then lastly, what do we know? Because as we teach in unity, it's the thoughts held in mind that produce their kind. We talk about trusting God as our source, but where are we with how that really works? So this will be an enlightening class and also a very fun time to be able to have that interaction in class with Reverend Lawrence and the ideas that he'll put forth. We ask that you sign up ahead of time for this so we can plan to have enough materials. Registration is available now through our website, unitypompanobeach.org. There's a promo there that you just click on the link and it will take you to the registration. Cynthia. Yes, this is posted on Unity's Worldwide Institute. It is available for elective credit, and we have several students taking Unity curriculum, so know that this will help meet your requirements in that curriculum. Thanks, Cynthia. And let's all stand now and greet each other.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice, let us us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made.
Good morning. I'm Dina Shimmick, and I'll be reading the daily word for today, which happens to be my Whitestone word from 2014, grace. I grow in God's grace. When a burden begins to feel lighter, when a happy moment becomes truly joyous, when the way through a frustrating challenge seems and suddenly becomes clear, I know I am experiencing grace. Unity minister and author Eric Butterworth explains grace this way: God's desire to express completely through you and as you is so great that you never completely reap the harvest of error, and you always reap more good than you sow. This is grace. Grace is God's gift, constantly available to everyone willing to receive it. I look to God alone as the source of my good. I discover the guiding, healing, prospering presence of God everywhere I go, in everything I do, and in everyone that I meet. And the scriptures from John 1:16, from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace.
Right now, as the prayer chest comes forward, we'd like to begin a time of prayer and meditation by singing together, I Am Light.
I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am divinity defined. I am the
as we lovingly go into this time of meditation together, I invite you to close your eyes, to simply start with your breath and notice the comfort it brings you. Notice how it lets you to just sit more comfortably, and how anything bothering you can easily just roll off your shoulders, giving you this opportunity to breathe and to connect with Spirit through that breath. We know that there are infinite possibilities available to us always. We know that when we are open to this truth, that we become co-creators with Spirit. And as we continue to breathe, we let go of anything that stands in the way of that knowing, of that allowing, any perceived failures or places where we feel we have missed the mark. We can be open to the possibility that our ideas may have been minuscule in comparison to the magnificence that God has in mind for us. Perhaps where we have carved out a peephole, God sees a door for us. We allow ourselves to be open to the faith, knowing that the seemingly impossible is possible when we use our imagination, when we hold this trust and faith in creating with Spirit. During this time of silence together, we move away from peeking through that peephole with trepidation and instead let that door open wide to that realm of infinite possibility for us in this time of silence together. And now as we slowly and peacefully come back to this time and this place, we know that there is infinite possibility for us to dream bigger than we could ever imagine, that we have the ability to receive, and we have the powerful ability to co-create with Spirit at any given moment that we open our mind to what is possible. For this, and for all of our many blessings, let's take a deep breath together and release it with gratitude. And when you're ready, you can open up your eyes and as we sing together, Alleluia.
Alleluia, alleluia, every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. And I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. No, I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. Yes, I believe. Oh, I believe. I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. Oh, yes, it will. And I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Oh. Now every time I hear a newborn baby cry, touch a leaf or see the sky, then I believe.
That's Samantha Natalie.
You get yourself checked on tomorrow. My goodness, thank you, Sam. Band, wow. Okay, what do I do now? I want to share with you today, pregnant with possibilities. It's a Papa Charlie quote. And I told Bev the humor of that didn't go by me, that right after Valentine's Day, I'm preaching a sermon about pregnant with possibilities. Do with that what you will. Papa Charlie says in Christian Healing, divine ideas are our inheritance. They are pregnant with possibility, pregnant with all possibility, because ideas are the foundation and cause of all that we desire. With this understanding as a foundation, we easily perceive how all mine are thine. All the ideas contained in the one Father mind are at the mental command of its offspring. Get behind a thing into the mental realm where it exists as an inexhaustible idea, and you can draw upon it perpetually and never deplete the source. Again, divine ideas are our inheritance. They are pregnant with all possibility. Bev and I were in Atlanta, Georgia last week. Unfortunately, it was rainy and cold there the whole time we were there. So we were very glad to get back home, but it was a Unity Ministers meeting that happens every year about this time. And we had a great time being with our friends and seeing people we haven't seen since last year at this time. But one of the things that we did a couple things that were significant. One was we went to the Jimmy Carter Center, which was really, really interesting and moving. If you have a chance, I'd encourage you to do that. And of course, the other, we went to the Martin Luther King Jr. Center as well. And that was such an incredible experience to hear. Once again, we'll see the video of his I Have a Dream speech. And I'm standing there, tears streaming down my face, listening to this speech. And my heart hurt so as I watched some of the video clips of the newsreels back then. The hate that was in the air and all the things that happened and the horrible actions that were taken against the civil rights workers and those who were working toward that. So the whole experience was incredibly moving, and I thought it was quite appropriate and important for us to take some time to honor Black History Month. Now, one thing I want to mention is that we're very concerned about being politically correct. And actually today, I'm not sure what is politically correct anymore. I remembered a scene out of the movie Biko about Stephen Biko, who was an anti-apartheid worker in South Africa. And one of the many times he was brought into court and being examined, the judge said to him, "Why do you call yourself black? You are more brown than black." And his response, in a very non-confrontational kind of way, said, "Why do you call yourself white? You are more pink than white." So the labels that we use are incredibly subjective, and I have, for some long time, used the word black for African Americans because I've had people say to me, "I'm not from Africa, so don't call me an African American." And I use black with the utmost respect and care, so that's where I'm coming from, and I hope that doesn't push anybody's buttons, and particularly since we call it Black History Month. I read probably 100 small bios of some of the great black heroes of the past. And I want to share several of them with you. The first one is about James Armistead. He was a patriot spy. He was actually a slave who had been given permission by his owner to go and be an agent for the government. He was actually a double agent. He was working for the British and for the Americans, but he was giving the British inaccurate information and bringing accurate information back to the Americans. And as the story goes, he found out that the British were bringing in a flotilla into Yorktown, Virginia, bringing in 10,000 troops. And he passed that information along to George Washington, and Washington and those with him were able to blockade the city and to stifle that British influence, that influx. And because of that, the war ended very shortly after that. So this black man, a slave at the time, was credited with the large responsibility for bringing the war to an end when it did. No small thing. Eunice Hutton Carter was able to become a social worker, then went on to be the first black woman to obtain a law degree in the United States. She was very concerned about the crime in New York City, and particularly around prostitution, and she worked in that area. And she was largely responsible for bringing down the crime boss, Charles Lucky Luciano. And because of her work, he was arrested and eventually deported, gotten out of the United States. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, she was the first black woman to receive a medical degree in the United States. And she was mostly concerned about the health concerns of freed black slaves. She was also the first black doctor to write a book about the Book of Medical Discourses. It was the first writing by a black doctor. She did very well with that. Solomon Carter Fuller, he was the nation's first black psychiatrist, and he worked with Alzheimer's. How many of you know that Alzheimer's, the name Alzheimer's, was a German doctor who first discovered this disorder that we call Alzheimer's, and thus named for him or about him. Did anybody know that? I didn't know that till I was doing this research. But Dr. Fuller got very much involved in the Alzheimer's work, and he also became an expert, a teacher, and practitioner of neuropathology. Frederick Jones was a self-educated man. He was an entrepreneur, he was an inventor, he was a fabricator, and he invented air conditioning for cars. And later he modified that to put it on trucks so that food and medicine could be hauled in a refrigerated enclosure and keep it fresh. His work eventually resulted in the company that we now know to be Thermo King. So if you've ever seen that logo on a refrigerated truck when it comes by, that was his doings. He also got more than 60 patents for his inventions. uneducated or self-educated. And last of all, Maggie Walker. She was the daughter of slaves, and she was quite the entrepreneur and financier, even as a young girl. She started the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank in the area where she lived when there were no black banks at the time at all. And she began to gather money. She opened the bank with $9,000 that she had managed to get together. And she was making loans to the people who couldn't get loans from the other banks, and turned it into a huge business, a huge bank. She was the first woman of any race to preside over a savings institution. And she continued to be a philanthropist and eventually held positions with the NAACP and the National Urban League. And I could go on and on. Amazing stories about the first woman who did something, the first black man or woman that did something, and the incredible things that they did that we have been blessed by. And most of the time this is in the background. We don't even know all of this has gone on. Well, let's take another step and look at the contributions of blacks in New Thought. Now, with religion, we know that there have been some great and powerful black preachers along the way, and a lot of very strong churches. But as far as New Thought goes, some of the names you might hear along the way are Ruth Cox, James Elliott, Henrietta Gordon, Courtney Johnson, Helen Mouton, Corinne Smith, and Frida Ann Whitfield. Now, one of the things that I was struck by, I kind of knew this anyway, but I was looking through some of this history doing the research, and most of the New Thought ministers are women. The last statistic I saw, which has been quite a number of years ago, 51% of Unity ministers are women. And I suspect it's even more now at this point. From what I can tell, going to meetings and looking out over the gathering of ministers. But some of the other Unity ministers you might be more familiar with may have heard their names. One is Johnnie Coleman. She founded the Christ Universal Temple and the Universal Foundation for Better Living. Also, the Johnnie Coleman Theological Seminary is named in her honor. You may have heard of Ruth Mosley from Detroit, who started the Unity Urban Ministerial School, which is now one of the paths that someone can follow if they want to be a Unity minister, is going through the urban school. And Ruth passed away a while back, but she left an incredible legacy behind her. And then, of course, there's Barbara King. She is a powerful woman. She is a big woman. I mean, tall, large statue, in not only physically but otherwise. She has an incredible presence about her. She's the minister and founder of the Hillside Chapel and Truth Center in Atlanta, and also the founder and president of the Barbara King School of Ministry, which was opened in 1971. Now, during Black History Month, we take time to remember and honor and celebrate the lives of these people who have been so important. And while it is important for us to honor them and to recognize them, I think there's something else that's more important, and that is that we imitate them, that we follow them along the paths that they have walked. Now, in my studies, I found that all these black heroes that we've talked about and I've studied about came from a large variety of backgrounds. The Patriot spy I mentioned a moment ago was a slave while he was doing that. There are others who are one generation moved from slavery, and others 2 generations, and some had no connection with slavery at all. Some of them came from very, very, very poor circumstances. Some of them were orphans. Some had a single parent. Some were raised by grandparents or aunts or uncles or someone else. Some grew up in affluent homes. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood in Atlanta, and we saw the house that he was born in and grew up in, and in a nice neighborhood. So all these stories don't begin with, are not rags to riches or poverty to prosperity. Some of them had good families, strong families, solid families, and lived a very financially secure life. So there's a great difference there. So there's a huge variety of the situations from which these people came, and a huge variety of things that they did. Some of these black heroes were in the field of education, some in the field of medicine, some in engineering, some in finance, the arts, and music, and sports. And right on down the line, we find these black heroes showing up all over the place. So even though their backgrounds were different and what they did was different, they had one thing in common. I think they all, as Papa Charlie did, realized that the world was pregnant with possibilities. They saw the possibilities that were there. So if we're going to imitate them, I want to suggest to you 3 steps that we can take to imitate those who have gone before and have done something with the opportunities that are all around us. The first one is perception. How do you see what the world is? I asked somebody one time, "How are you doing?" And he said, "Same old stuff, day after day." And I thought, bless your heart, to live like that? And you know, you've heard of you can either wake up in the morning and say, "Oh Lord, morning," or you can say, "Good morning, Lord." It's a choice. It's how you perceive it. And it begins with a willingness to see the world in a different way. There's plenty in the world that would point us toward the negative. And we all can find a lot of reasons to be negative or feel negative or to act negative or to see things as negative. But it is critical for us, if we are going to be a part of the pregnant possibilities in this world, that we are willing to perceive the world in a different way. To see it as full of possibilities that carry blessing for us, that carry prosperity, that carry abundance, that carry healing, and all the things that we're looking for. It begins with how you look at it. And that has nothing to do with your circumstances. As we've seen in the stories, some people from dire circumstances, from abject poverty, were still able to see the possibilities and to do something about it. So it begins with that point. It begins with your and my decision, our choice to see things differently, to be willing to see things differently. Because when the good comes along, it challenges us. And it's an adjustment to be able to do that. There's this idea in Unity, in New Thought, I'm not sure who first came up with the idea, called chemicalization. And some of you who've been in Unity classes have heard that. But chemicalization is the process that happens within you when an old idea is confronted by a new idea. You grow up believing that you don't deserve good. And then somebody gets up and says to you, "You deserve all the good in the world." And when this old idea of you don't deserve it comes in contact with the idea that you do deserve it, what happens? So every time you think that negative idea and then you bring the positive up, there's a clash there. So I'm not telling you that perceiving the opportunity that is all around us is just a snap. Just do it. No problem. Well, you can do it and you can choose to do it, and I encourage you to do that, but realize that there's something that goes along with that. There's a change that goes on within us, and that change is as intense as your need to hold on to the old is. Because when the new comes and brings a new idea, a new way of looking at things, the more you hold on to the old, the more conflict you're going to have until one possibility is to release the new and just live with the old. I've seen that happen too. But it is our choice as to how we're going to perceive this world pregnant with possibilities. And I would encourage you to say yes, to be willing to look at the new, despite the fact that it makes us uncomfortable, despite the fact that the new often drags us out of our comfort zone. It drags us out of our rut. You've heard about people being in a rut. You know what a rut is? It's a grave with both ends knocked out of it. Think about that one. So the first step for us is perceiving, seeing, recognizing, acknowledging that the world indeed is pregnant with possibility. The second step is to conceive. That is to imagine it, to play it out. You began by saying, yes, all right, I will accept the fact that the world is pregnant with possibility. The second step is, I can imagine that possibility being mine. I can imagine how that would play out in my life. If I were to really embrace this opportunity, I can see how that could happen. I can really see it happening. That's important for us to do as well. The affirmation that we have for this month has imagination in it. What is the affirmation? My imagination swings wide the gate of possibility. So we envision that possibility being in my life. We imagine those possibilities playing out in our life. It's important that we're able to do that. Reminds me of a story. You know why the blind man turned down the new job offer? I'm sorry. I did that wrong. The invisible man. You know why the invisible man turned down the job offer? He just couldn't see himself doing it. Okay, put that one in the don't do again pile. But that illustrates the point of how important it is for us not only to say, okay, there are great opportunities out in the world, and taking another step and saying, I can imagine, I can envision those possibilities playing out in my life. If your concern is for a relationship, can you imagine the relationship happening, or are you at the place that, there are relationships out there, but never take that step of envisioning how that plays out in your life? So that step of conception, envisioning, is important for us if we're going to manifest these things. And the third step is to receive. Not only perceive and conceive, but receive. We accept our marching orders. Because when we say the possibilities, the opportunities are out there, and I can envision that being in my life, and by God, I'm going to do it now. We receive that this is mine now. We receive the encouragement, the urge from within us to do what we have envisioned, to do what we have imagined. Not only do these possibilities exist out there somewhere, but I can see them in my life, and now is a time, and now is a place to make those things happen. Sounds kind of like the fifth principle of unity. That things happen. We make them happen. We express them. And all that we know comes to the place of being pushed out into the world and manifested. That's what happened to our great black heroes. Not a one of those that I read about did I tell you. And they had this great idea and they sat around thinking about it. They had this great idea and they waited for somebody else to do it. They saw the opportunity, the possibility. They saw themselves in that possibility and they claimed it and said, this is what I am going to do. This is what I am doing. And everything started out that way. All the great accomplishments that these black leaders made started out as that idea, started out as a possibility, and so is it with us. It sounds a little bit like the creative process, doesn't it? Mind, idea, expression. We have that possibility in front of us. We imagine it being ours, and then we make it ours, and we express it. And some of you think because your ideas aren't big, they aren't valuable. Doesn't matter how big it is if it's yours. For your life, it is important. And it's all relative. Because if you do something, it's like preaching. And I really do believe that if a sermon touches one person, that's great. That's good. It was worth doing the sermon for one person. If a sermon touches 1,000 people, that's great too. But that does not make a sermon touching one any less important. And whatever idea you have, whatever opportunity you latch onto and you own and you envision and you activate and you energize and you make something happen, it does not matter how big or how small it is. It does not matter how many people know about it. It's important. What matters is that you do it. What matters is that you follow through what is going on in here. That you see that opportunity, that possibility. You claim it, you own it, you make it happen. That's what all the heroes of the past have done. And we would do well to do that as well. So during this rest of this month, as we continue to think about opportunity, next week I'm going to be sharing with you about creating opportunities. But this week I would invite you just to look around as you go out into the world. Carry that phrase with you. The world is pregnant with possibilities. And you begin to perceive those possibilities. And then you begin to conceive those possibilities. And then you begin to receive those possibilities. And you make it happen. I dare you. God bless you.
And now at this time, we have our offering that is taken. And although it seems like it is for us, and of course it is, there's funds that come in here that help us with our operation, this time is really for you. It's really for you to consider what your choices are about how you live your life, where you place your values. How important is it to get Starbucks coffee every morning? And how does that weigh with how important Unity of Pompano Beach is to you? There's so much here that you can be involved with. Of course, through attendance and through financial giving, but through service and just coming out to our various activities. For those of you on live stream, we invite you to take a look at those podcasts and the various things you can do with us online, and there will be more this year that we're going to share with. There's a donate button there. Anybody on live stream can give your offering that way. If you're here today without cash or a checkbook, use that donate button on our website. But do be involved, because it's the involvement and the willingness to give and be involved that really does create that joy within. So let us hold our gift today as we are filled with gratitude for each person here. And we bless our offerings together. With a grateful heart, we acknowledge God as source of all that is. Today, we let go of any concern of lack and allow good to unfold in our lives. Good is ours. Good and more good is ours. And ever increasing good is ours. Everywhere we go, we see this good. We feel it, we experience it, we give it, and it multiplies itself around us. And so it is. Amen.
I could speak with the tongue of man and angels.
Love is the more excellent way.
But if I don't have love, I'm just a clanging cymbal.
Love is the more excellent way.
I could have faith to remove the mountain.
Love is the more excellent way.
But if I don't have love, then I have enough.
Love is the more excellent way.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is humble all of the time, not easily angered, enduring the test. So never forget, love is the more excellent way. Oh yes. I could have faith of prophecy.
Love is the more excellent way.
But if I don't have love, does it profit me?
Love is more excellent way.
I could understand all mystery.
Love is the more excellent way.
But if I don't have love, it's not enough, you see.
Love is the more excellent way.
Love is patient, love is kind, love is humble all of the time, not easily angered, enduring the test. So never forget, love is the more excellent way. I could throw my body into the flames.
Love is the more excellent way.
But if I don't have love, I don't have any.
Love is the more excellent way.
I could give to the poor everything I
Love is the more
owe.
excellent way.
But a heart without love is just a heart of stone.
Love is the more excellent way.
'Cause love is patient, love is kind, love is humble all of the time, not easily angered, enduring the test. So never forget, love is the more excellent way. Oh, love is patient, love is kind, love is humble all of the time, not easily angered, enduring the test. So never forget, love is the more excellent way. Don't you ever forget, love is the more excellent way. Every day now, love is the more excellent way. Don't you forget now, love is the more excellent way. Every day,
Love is the more excellent
it always
way.
is the most excellent
More
way.
excellent way.
Oh, we love our musicians. Thank you so much.
I tell you, that song stays in your head. It stays in your head.
And take a moment to have prayer with one of our chaplains. You see, we have many who are dedicated to prayer service here. Let that love fill you. And if you have any concern of love or any of these possibilities and ideas that came to you during the service, take a moment for some affirmative prayer with our chaplains. As we stand now and we close with the prayer for protection, right after our prayer, I'll invite those who are attending our orientation to go right out that middle door and right on in so you can have your food and be right back here at 12:30. So let us bless each other as we leave today. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Blessings are falling, are falling, are falling. Blessings are falling like a sweet, sweet rain. Blessings are falling, are falling, are falling on me. Beauty is falling, is falling, is falling. Beauty is falling like a sweet, sweet rain. Beauty is falling, is falling, is falling on me. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your grace. Oh Lord, I will dance forevermore. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your